Hello, hello. Actually, you know what? I did not do. I could do Machine Liner again because he was announced for the thing, but
Do we have a sponge liner?
no, because we were supposed to have him on, and then
Oh yeah.
just we went our separate ways. I think we actually left that event a little early. That might be on us. That one might be on us. I think we were gonna stick around, and we were like, bro, we've been here for like 12 hours.
That was really like a long event.
But it was ESL, and they treat you right with food, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah, that's the only reason we would have stayed 12 hours. Because like we probably got a lot of like interviews and content from them.
Yeah. All right. All right. I am ready. You ready?
Yep.
Hey, welcome. What is up? Welcome to episode 359 of the Center Ring Esports podcast presented by Philly Esports. And this is going to be the best episode of the week because, of course, we have a packed Yikes of the week to get to. Also, a little bit of CS talk, a little CS grab bag. We have a lot to discuss. Blast. Roster rumors, the major talent was announced. We have teams locked into the upcoming major, so we'll discuss some of that, as well as a little bit of Halo Infinite beta talk, maybe Halo top 25, very controversial top 25 of all time that the Halo Esports Twitter tweeted out a couple weeks ago, so we've been hanging on to that to discuss, so we'll do that as well as E-News, everyone's favorite segment to end the show with. Before we do that, though, let me tell you about our friends over at Philly Esports. You can go to their website right now, phillyesports.gg, and don't be alarmed if you've been there before, which I know you have. They got a new website, Anuj, and it is quite clean looking, if I must say so myself. They unveiled their new logo, red, white, and blue. Can never go wrong. Very, I would say, a step in the right direction. Not that I was not a fan of their old logo. This just looks very professional. It looks very esportsy. So I approve, if that means anything to you. But you can go to their website right now, phillyesports.gg, and you can sign up for their upcoming events. Coming up here November 13th, they have their 3v3 Rocket League event. Signups are completely free. Prize pool of $2,000. Coming up here just next week, October 9th through the 10th. Still time to sign up for their 5v5 Valorant tournament. Sponsored by the U.S. Army. Prize pool $2,500. You win first place, you just won $1,500 for free for no sign up. You can't argue that. So if you're one of these guys that have always come to us saying, guys, we want to go pro. How do we do it? This is how you do it. You sign up for free events. Or, pay for them too, but they're even better when they're free. And you do that with Philly Esports. Go to phillyesports.gg.
It's DDK, and you're listening to TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of The Centering, a.k.a. TCR, a.k.a. your favorite esports podcast presented by Philly Esports. This is episode 359, coming to you live and or pre-recorded from an undisclosed location. The date, October 4th, 2021, officially spooky season. The time, 9:07 p.m. Central Time. Go ahead and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. Our Discord is in the link of said Twitter, as well as Patreon. If you feel like supporting the show, that's the best way to do it. Or just listening. That also works. I am, don't know where I was going to go there. I was going to promote one other thing, but we're no longer having that thing to promote. So if you enjoyed the website, tcr.gg, you probably have like another week of it. And then we're going to get rid of it because we don't use it. So there's that. What's that?
If you use this site, I'm kind of curious.
If
If you want to let us know if you did use it, I'm kind of curious.
you've ever gone to the website, you let us know. My name is Tim. I will be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend. It's Anuj. What's up?
Your level 32 friend.
Ho ho ho. Level 32, huh?
I'm doing good, dude. Doing good. I've been on the grind with you. I feel like I've seen you every day this week, which has been a lot of fun and unusual. So
Yeah.
It's been good for both of us.
We've been on the New World grind, and I know some of our listeners have too, because I see them on like my friends list and stuff. Haven't had a chance to play with a lot of them, mainly because of queue times. Right? It's difficult to line up gaming time when it's just like, you know, say we've been on for a couple of hours, and then someone's like, "All right, I just got off of work. I'm about to be on," and you're like, "No, you're not."
I'll see you in 3 hours
Right.
if I'm still on.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, queue up now. Call your wife and say, "Honey, I'm on my way home."
It's
And-
crazy how many influencers are playing too. Like I'm kind of seeing a lot of.
Well, I mean, you're
like,
looking at one right here.
That's true.
Like, we're
like
influencers.
Playster has been so active with talking about it, which has been really cool. Parasite's sitting there 47, I think, right now. Clayster like 45. It's like these guys are like grinding. They're not just playing; they are grinding.
Well, what else
I
do
can
they
tell
have
you, if
going
you're
on?
45, you are like going ham.
Yeah, we're
That
on a
is-
good pace. I would say like we are on a pace for someone who's played every day. Like you're probably right around 30, which is where we're at. Like
Yeah.
after tonight, I'll probably be 30. So 30, yeah, probably 30. So, but you know what? Real quick, just to, because, you know, we've talked about New World so much on the show. I am thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah, I really am. Like it's been a nice change of pace game. I don't know if that even makes any sense, but like it's just been it feels like it's been really comfortable to just play at your own pace, do what you want to do. If you want to quest, you want to do dungeons, you just want to like farm materials to get stronger stuff and level that way. Like if it's really fun right now. Maybe ask me 6 months from now and I might tell you different, but at least in the moment, I'm really enjoying it right now.
Yeah, and especially because I know you and I haven't got involved with as much on the PvP side because our crew has been a little MIA at the beginning, catching up now, but a little MIA there. So it's
Still
risky.
trying to get some of the crew on the server.
Right, yeah. So there's that, but overall, for people saying it, New World was a failed launch. Like maybe you're on the outside looking in and you haven't played it, and you're just laughing at everyone because of the queue times. Like I would say, if you're complaining that this is a failed launch, you have lived a comfortable life of gaming, because this has been anything but a failure to me. I'm okay with queue times. Queue times tells me that the game is popular. Now, if you're joining a server with like 13,000 in the queue, that's on you. Listen, don't go to Disney World in June in the middle of summer break and then bitch about the long lines, because that's on you. You want to ride the Seven Dwarf ride or the new Star Wars ride and wait 14 hours and then bitch that the wait was too long? That's on you. The blood is on your hands. You want to join a server with like the top streamers? That's fine, but that's on you to wait. We hit the eject button on that one.
Yeah, and there's really not that many servers that are in that position, right? It's really just a couple of the popular streamer servers. And that's fine because people want to play with their favorite streamer. Like I get that, right? I get the appeal behind it for a lot of people to do that. But majority of the servers I feel like are in really great shape. And I do wish they would probably up the population limit a little bit in the game.
And
Would
I've
be
heard
nice.
they will,
but
but
outside of that, it really has been.
no.
If you think this is a failed launch, that just tells me you haven't played MMOs at launch. Like that's all
or
I get.
any
from
game
that,
for
right?
that matter. Like any
Yeah,
popular
yeah.
game, like there hasn't been server crashes, there haven't been like game breaking bugs that like people are just abusing the shit out of. It's been I mean, for Amazon's first major studio game, I know there was like that one that they ended up shutting down, but this is like, to me, their first major, like caught the attention of everyone. A very successful launch in my opinion.
Yeah, and like a different enough game to stand out, right?
Yes.
They didn't just make a copycat of something else where it was just it feels really unique, and I think that's also why we're enjoying it, right? Like, it feels like we're doing something different than
Yeah.
what we normally do in
No,
MMOs, and the
I
style and
I
vibe
enjoy
is
it.
different.
Our server info is in. If you scroll, I mean, you can always shoot us a DM or whatever, and I can give it to you. But I don't know it off the top of my head. But it's in our Discord. So just go in the general section of our Discord. Scroll up from a couple days ago, last week. You'll see our server that we ended up joining because it's not the one that we talked about on the show. Sorry if all you do is listen to the show and not follow us on Twitter or Discord. We did have to change because the server we were originally going to join was like among the top 3 most popular ones at the start. So
Which was, like, random because it wasn't supposed to
it
be a
wasn't.
streamer server, and
It
it
just
just was.
happened to be very popular.
Yeah.
So we joined another server with our other buddies who were on the yellow. They were on the yellow side, and then we said, well, this side looks like it's going to suck pretty quick. So we ditched that, joined the green team, which
Marauders.
yellow is Covenant, green is Marauders. And we also got into the number 1 company, the number 1 guild on the server, which is also kind of badass. Like, we own like 2 zones and in wars, like
They're very active in the game,
like
which is nice.
heavy
That's
influence on the servers, what our
yeah.
company's in. So that's actually pretty cool too. So I don't know. I'm having fun. There's only a couple games right around the corner that I feel like might take us away from it, but even then, like, I feel like I'll always have like this doesn't seem like it's so
I think it just depends on where the content goes with this game,
right.
right? If end game content is just PvP, then yeah, we'll probably mix up playing like Battlefield. Obviously, when that comes out, we're gonna all play and
Right.
stuff like that. But if they do a good job of keeping the content current and
The
it's
good
like
thing
fun,
about it is it's the base game is $40, no subscription fee. So very, in my opinion, this game does not play like a $40 game.
that's what our Amazon Primes are. I'm sure 90% of the player base has Amazon Prime.
Right.
So that's your subscription fee at this point.
Right. So it plays really well. And like I said, you can buy it, play it guilt free, knowing like, hey, even if you stop playing it in 6 months and then you come back for like the next expansion or next big update, you got it. You don't have to resubscribe or anything. So
yeah.
Not a paid ad. I just want to say I enjoy New World. I was a little skeptical going in because, you know, even in the beta, I was like mentally, I was like, I didn't want to get too far because I knew we were going to do this all again. But I'm having a lot of fun. It also helps that I'm not in Halo beta. So there's that as well. But we'll get to that later on in the show. For now, Anuj, let's get to Yikes of the Week as we go over our favorite moments of the week that made us go yikes, as well as some of our listeners. You can submit stuff too. We get hear it from you guys all the time as well. All right, so I will start with my Yikes of the Week. This is going from Dota 2, the TI, which is right around the corner. Like, I think starting any day now, if I'm not mistaken. Anuj, we talked about this a couple episodes ago when the ticket went on sale, and we were like, boy, this seems pretty last minute for TI tickets to all of a sudden go on sale. And remember, they were hyped because they were on sale. Then they pulled them back, saying, hold on. We got to see what's going on with this new COVID variant. Then they put them back on sale just weeks before the event. And we are like, well, rip any international traveler because there's no, I mean, you could, but it will cost you a small fee to all of a sudden do this last minute. And who knows? I'm sure some people did, right? Big enough fans with deep enough pockets probably bought last minute international travel tickets. Well, hopefully, which if you listen to the show, we warned you, always spend the extra $50 to get the tickets you can cancel. Because hopefully they did that, Anuj, because Valve and the TI organizers have announced that there will no longer be fans at the TI, and they are issuing refunds on all tickets sold.
Yeah, I mean, kind of not surprised. It's unfortunate, like because a lot of events have gone off, right? So we've seen a lot of LAN events already take place. So there was some hope there that it would happen, but this did feel like very rushed, and then I guess a lot of staff and all that obviously came down with it, they said, and it gave them enough reason to at least think about it. Is this really the best thing to do right now? And look, I mean, it's crazy because if you're watching every Sunday, you see football stadiums with 90,000 people in them,
Yeah.
in 20 different parts of the country. I mean, more, than that.
Well,
And
and that's what
so,
I don't understand with these rules. Not to get political, Nuge, but that's what I don't understand with all this COVID stuff. Like in the sense of like their justification of canceling this event, but then letting this other event go on. Like this one event, like the TI was not going to be the event that tipped the scales, right? It's like all these people are still going out and hanging out and doing other things. So I think at this point, it's like, dudes, you already pulled them once, put them back up. I think at this point, you just commit, right? It's like, hey, we're all vaccinated for the most part. We're all okay wearing masks, or you can at least mandate masks wearing, assuming you didn't sell out, right? Just given the COVID era. So you can maybe do a little bit more social distancing with seats than you would before. Like this ain't like week one of COVID. We've been around the block a few times. I think we know how to run events now to have people there and for the most part be as safe as one can be with people there. So I think it's a little shitty. I think fans could probably go there. The world's not going to end because of this one event when, like you said, given any place now, even like soccer has fans there in Europe.
yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate because it sucks because a lot of people obviously were
Hopefully,
excited to go
yeah.
and hopeful to go, and it felt like this was this was one of the first real grand slam events that esports would have had in general, right? So it would have given me more hope for also the PGL, like the Counter Strike major coming up, right? I'm still nervous a little bit in the back of my
Oh man,
heart, telling me like something could happen
with
here.
any event, I am nervous
Yeah.
until like the computers are on at that point.
Again, it's just crazy because again, we're watching live sports every single day, whether it's baseball going on. We're about to have the kickoff for the basketball season here in just a couple of days. We have NFL happening and college sports happening. So it just makes you wonder why we couldn't make this work out.
The
But it
TI
is what it is.
of all things. Yeah, I guess that's what it is, right? All right, that's my yikes.
Tim, I'm throwing a curveball right now. The reason being is Riot revealed the new brackets. They reseeded them and changed the qualifier. So my original yikes is no longer a yikes because it's been corrected. So we're swapping up yikes here. And this is going to be a Blizzard yikes. So I'm jumping into the Blizzard bandwagon here. This is for Diablo 2 Resurrected. Like, this is really unfortunate because this is a game that already people were excited for. I think the ultimate cutoff mark for a lot of people was the fact that you had to pay $40 to buy the game again, right? I think otherwise most people would be interested in going back. But I know in our
as we said, if it was $15-20, we would have played it.
We would have, right? And so now you're paying $40 for this re-release game. You probably have a smaller base than you were hoping for. And the game is like littered with like crashing bugs taking place. And fans seem to be getting pretty fed up. I mean, it's been a shaky launch for them on a game that's 20 years old at this point, and you're seeing like a lot of bug crashes going on right now, and it kind of blows my mind that that's happening like in this game of all games, right? We talked about a good launch. It made me just think about again praising New World in this instance of like that's a brand new MMO release. I haven't crashed one time in the game. I haven't had one error that's made me crash, and thankfully I haven't because it would have been even more devastating because I can't just hit play and jump back into the game if it were to happen. And this is a game that's being released again after 20 years, and every few hours, players are reporting crashes, like consistently, the same people over and over again. So it's kind of unfortunate. I mean,
two things that I've learned Blizzard just does not know how to handle: women and remakes. Like they see both of them and they just freak out.
I do all the wrong things.
Women, they're too hands-on. Remakes, they seem to be too hands-off. I don't I don't know why every time they remake a game that everyone is super excited for, it just crashes and burns. But
Oh Lord, yeah, no, it's kind of incredible that it's always like what was it, Warforge?
or
No, Warcraft remastered,
Warcraft
or
3, whatever they
they had a
called it.
yeah, Warforged. They did something weird with the name there, but yeah, that game was like littered with bugs. I'm like, seriously,
Man,
these
and
are
that
remakes.
one everyone got so excited for because like even they were like doing esports tournaments for it. Like it was like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god, are we going to see a resurgence of Warcraft 3 esports?" which was huge back in the day, right? And then I mean, it didn't even get out the first week before. I mean, I remember we both refunded it. Like they were offering refunds for it. So,
hmm
um
that was one I was definitely taking advantage of.
yeah. Yeah. So, not good. Not good. That's why it's important to not sexually assault your employees because then you maybe could get away with making a bad game. But if you're going to make a bad game and sexually assault your employees, like I can't help you. Like
Yeah.
you're giving me very little ground to
You're
stand on
giving
here.
me no reason to back you at this point.
Yeah.
Like, give me
Like
something.
like maybe it's like, hey man, this company like they sexually assault women. I'm like, yeah, but I mean, look at the game. Like, come on.
Look at StarCraft 4. You know,
Right.
like,
Right.
like
Yeah.
that's
I mean, hey man, have you seen Overwatch 2 is actually going to come out? Like maybe give them a chance here, right? But no, not WoW 2 is they've announced WoW 2 though. So no, you can't do both. You can't do sexually assault and make a shitty game. It's just not allowed, as we've seen with Riot, right? You can do that if you're making League of Legends. So there's that. There is Yikes of the week. Do you want to talk some Halo first?
yeah. Let's get into Halo first.
All right, so let's get into some Halo. We had the Halo third week of the Halo beta, the third round, I should say, because they've been kind of spaced out here and there. This week was limited playtime windows, so if you were lucky enough to A, get in, and then B, have the schedule that allowed you to play.
Basically kept the same schedule for all three now.
Right.
It's like that same 4-hour windows daily.
So you can get in. This one had big team battle in it. Anuj, if we can branch off of Yikes, I have one more Yikes.
I know what it is. Go ahead.
And that is the fact that Halo Infinite, unfortunately, is going to arrive dead on arrival. Because they are failing miserably at including the number one influencer for Halo in this beta. And you might have guessed it. Of course, I'm talking about myself.
Unfortunate.
Halo esports, and I think we can all admit this, it would be dead if it weren't for me. If it weren't for me talking about Halo on this show, I don't think anyone younger than me would know what it is. And I truly think that.
You're not far off at the very least.
And so for them to give me access to the first round of beta and then snub me on 2 and 3 is not only insulting to me, but to my family. And honestly, I'm not going to stand for it. You know, I would like to support it. I would like to see Halo Infinite step up on the right foot and start strong. But I just don't, like, how much love can I give if I'm not giving it back? And that's where I'm at.
It's like they messed up the invites and they were like, oh, TCR, send it over. And they hit my email. Because I got into every single one of them. Like, I didn't miss the arena
I'm just going to start putting I'm not white on my profile. That's the only explanation.
I don't know if I had to mark that, but I'm sure if I did, I answered it honestly. I probably didn't put white on there, you know.
No.
No. But yeah, I mean, I was fortunate enough to get in. This weekend, I played the least amount out of all of them. As you can wonder why, as if I was in New World, I wasn't going to get out of that to go, you know, play in a beta weekend when all my friends are in this game. But I did hop on for the big team battle for got like an hour and a half in of gameplay. I'll tell you, this was my least. I'm not going to count the first one that you and I played. That was a technical test,
and it was
really
rough. It felt like a technical test.
Like there wasn't much also to it, right? We were playing bots and just kind of messing around and whatever. So between the arena weekend and the big team battle weekend, I definitely enjoyed the arena weekend a lot more.
Yeah.
Not, it didn't even feel like people were being sweaty in there or anything like that, but if the gameplay felt better and it was just it was
And I
fun.
kind of
It
and
was
I
more
kind of gave you the
competitive.
heads up. Like I kind of gave you like,
Yeah,
hey, big team battle is going to be fun. You won't get sweaties. If you're sweaty, no one's gonna like you. And it's kind of meant to be with friends. Like that's where you're gonna get the people like doing like the crazy sniper shots or
yeah,
trying to do
yeah.
crazy things because it's just that's what the game mode is
But
and has always
like there was
been.
guns everywhere, so that was nice, right? I got to mess around with a lot of different guns in big
Right.
team battle. Like
See
there was just so many
vehicles.
pickup points and just get in vehicles and drive a warthog around was pretty cool to do that. But you're right, like playing this weekend as a solo wasn't like that fun. Like
Yeah.
it was just like, all right, like this is cool, but
Let
kind
me
of
ask
bored
you
without my
this
buddies.
because again, I have not been in except for the technical test. Um which I don't want to talk about this too long because again, I don't want to give Halo any more time than what it deserves, which is at right now nothing in my eyes. Um, unless they send me an invite. If someone's listening right now and you want to make
It's like
things right,
not too late.
right, like send me an invite to the next one. That's all I'm asking.
Or get Tim a hoodie or something.
Or I'll
Like
take a hoodie. You know what's
merch
funny?
will sell
What
them.
and I'm not even kidding you, and you know me. Is Razer has like special edition Halo Death Hatters. I had it in my cart, ready to purchase, $80, which I don't need to spend because I have a Death Adder and it works just fine. When I didn't get the invite to the second weekend, I deleted it out of my cart.
Took it out.
I'm like, I'm not going to spend $80 on you if you are not going to give me a free weekend invite. Like, that's just how I roll.
Especially since you got into the first one, it's
I'm
kind of
like,
surprising.
come on. Like, what a tease.
Yeah.
Like,
Why give you that weekend and not the 2 fun weekends?
yeah. It's like you gave me an over the pants HJ and then just never called. Like, what are we doing here?
A little bit of dry humping and never went past that.
Right. Like, okay. All right. I still enjoyed it, but hey, let's go on date number 2. See where it takes us. Did you feel like, because I remember in the week the tech test, the bots like didn't miss. Like it was almost kind of weird shooting them because they didn't move like a person would, right? Did you feel like in week 2 of the arena mode, it was like the shooting just felt a little bit more normal, or like the gunfights felt a little bit more human-like?
Yeah, like it did. I mean, you're talking about like playing player versus player. Sorry, my wife had texted me just now right when you started talking.
Right.
So
Yeah, like player versus
like
player.
yeah, like it was definitely different than what we were experiencing. Like the high level bots at times felt like they had
Oh my,
aimbot
like they
on,
were
right?
walling
So that was like a
100%.
little different. But I I could never tell if I just wasn't that good or if I was playing a controller player. Like I had moments where I felt like my aim was on point, and then more often than not, I felt like, oh man, this guy's like not missing from like across the map with a battle rifle, and
Right.
maybe that's just me getting used to the guns. Like it's hard for me to judge anything Halo related because I just don't have a past with it. So I enjoyed it for what it was. I was never like dominating the boards, but I was never the shittiest in the game either. I was just kind of like an average player um playing. But the shooting felt good. Like it didn't feel bad. Like all the guns actually felt really smooth. They all
Right.
served their purpose.
And for you as a non-Halo player, the one thing that you did say, and again, you always have to kind of like and again, I shouldn't be doing this, but I know, and you can probably sense it, is I am trying so hard to get you to like the game. Like anytime you're like, man, I don't know if this is that fun, I'm like right there with like a pep talk. No, man, you're doing great. Keep trying, sport. Just get back up to the plate, and swing. Just have some fun with the game. And then it's like you even said, like, okay, now you're getting used to the weapons. Because as a non-Halo player, you're like, oh, let me pick up this plasma pistol. And like to you, you're like, oh, this is probably good. To every other Halo player, you're like, yeah, that's only good to charge. You knock down their shield, and then you do a quick switch to one-shot them.
Yeah, I kind of noticed like I didn't like a lot of the guns, honestly. They
Right.
shot well, but like I caught myself just wanting the battle rifle or like the DMR gun I didn't mind having, or honestly I liked my pistol a
Right.
lot too.
Well, and
Well, I like
now you're a Halo player because that's pretty much all Halo players use are
I
pistols and
hated the assault rifle.
yep.
I didn't like any of the plasma rifles. The sniper I liked, but I didn't love. Like I liked it.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
different.
fun.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's not your, you're used to your Counter
It's like
Strike.
the zoom lens. I'm not like a big fan of how that
Yeah, it's
transition
different.
kind of works, but
Um,
it took me a while to figure out if I'm getting shot, if I'm scoped in. Like I was like, why do I keep unscoping? Like, what's happening? Like this is like
that's
infuriating, and it's like a hold down thing. It took me a little bit on the first weekend to realize, oh, it's just unscoping me every time I'm
yeah.
getting hit. It's
No
kind of
scopes
annoying.
are not as uncommon in Halo for that exact reason.
No, I got a chance to do that actually a handful of times with the sniper rifle. People were like closer to me. I didn't worry about scoping, and I'm like, this is
No,
like
you just
accurate. Yeah,
yeah,
you just shoot.
it's not
Yeah.
like an op where it just is gonna go
No,
off
it
random.
was nice, like because then on the big team battle, when people were like flying overhead, you're able to like kind of just pick a little bit more out of the air.
Yeah,
I didn't notice the bullet magnetism and all that though for PC, like that options on there. I never felt like my bullet like just kind of trailed off a little bit to hit somebody. Only on the crappy pistol that you're talking about,
yeah. The
that like
plasma
that
pistol,
tracks a little bit, but none of the other
none
bullets
of it.
did.
So we'll see. Hopefully, I get in the next one and we can play. But I mean, I would have to assume that because they haven't announced anything for like the next wave, right?
Yeah, they haven't even said if there's another wave or not.
I mean, I gotta
So
imagine then the next one is going to be open at this point. You've done 3 weeks of invite only. Have to imagine you are wanting to start testing out servers and getting as many people in. So
like surely they'll do one open beta where
yeah,
people can, more people can get in and actually play and experience it. You would hope so. So
yeah,
um
because they're going to have this thing kind of release without any bumps in the road because Anuj, it has been announced. We were wondering, okay, when is this Halo esports right going to kick off? Very soon. So the game is set to release December 8th. Well, it was announced over the week that the Halo Championship Series, their Halo HCS, that's their esports side of things, will be hosting their first event, their first tournament, December 17th. Not even 10 days after release, they're hosting their first major in Raleigh, North Carolina, which, for those who don't know, that was like a happening yearly event for MLG Halo. So, seems like a random spot in the world of esports, but for Halo, I would actually say like that's very like like the Rose Bowl or the Cotton Bowl in football, right? It's just like, well, okay, we're back. Halo is back if we're in North Carolina. $250,000 prize pool, and it is kicking it old school, open bracket pool play, which is again why I'm saying this needs to be like a flawless launch, because it's like you're not just appeasing to like the top 8 pro teams in like some exhibition tournament. Like, no, they're saying fuck that. We're going full send right out the gate with like a full blown open bracket Cinderella story possible qualification event.
I like, is that literally anybody can go make a team and go play?
I mean, that's
in
how
this
it
event?
used to be. I mean, that's what I played in, right? Is you get your boys and you
So
play
like,
up.
is it only on site over there in North Carolina, or
I don't
will
know. I don't know
they-
what the qualifications are. Maybe like the open bracket is like the week before, and then pool play is.
It's just like crazy. I mean, like, bravo to them for having the balls to do this, but God, this could be like devastating if it just is like, it feels like it has the potential to be a shit show.
Yeah.
But I'm really hoping it's not,
Because again,
because
if it is a shit show, everyone's going to be watching because a lot of the top influencers and people on Twitch
man,
are
you
hyped
wanna
for this
talk
game.
about the Twitch numbers for this, they're gonna be through the roof.
I'm
This is
sure like
going to
Ninja will
be-
probably have a team because he had a team in Valorant, so why would he not? Like, Halo is where he got his start, so why would he not have a team for Halo just to dick around in? Like, this is gonna be a massive event. It starts 9 days after your game's released. Like, bro, your servers better be on point. Your aim assist with the controller and PC players better be on point. Like, there has to be almost zero. Like, you don't have time to adjust if something is like
No, even I'm
wrong.
more worried, even like aside from server crashes and stuff, like game balance, right? Like, are pros and other like influencers alike going to be able to like give feedback properly in time, because hopefully they're speaking for the community, not
Right.
just themselves, right? But like when they give feedback, what kind of changes can you make in that amount of time? Nothing really, right? Like that's not even one patch cycle. Like you're saying, our game, look, this is confidence, right? You
Oh,
delayed the game a
yes.
year,
Look, I'm not
so you
saying don't
have
do
no
it.
excuses anyway, right? At the end of the day, they don't have it. If it's a
Yeah.
bad launch, it's a bad launch. Whether there was a major or not a major, it would be devastating because we've already waited a year to get the game. So, um, yeah, I hope it goes well. Like 250K prize pool. Like this is no joke. Like this is like a
No.
very like
I
they're pushing it
commend
out
them.
there. They want to make it tier 1 and they're setting the stage for it.
I commend them for the boldness of it. Like I said, because I am ready for it. I'm all like, because on the flip side too, it's like, okay, like the Halo's out, boom, here's a big tournament, right? We're not waiting. Well, we want to wait 6 months to make the game feel right and get everything perfect. It's like, no, Halo has never been about perfect, right? It's you adjust on the fly, you figure out what meta is out there. Hopefully, because that's the one thing too is people playing this beta, like even for you, it's like you're playing like pug rules. You're not playing competitive MLG rules. Like there's
Mhm.
radar and shit in the beta. No one plays with radar. Like no pro game is ever going to have radar in it. Which why I always chuckle like with Call of Duty when people are complaining about the radar. It's like, listen, bro, you shouldn't have one to begin with. Like just get that shit out of your game. But uh that's neither here nor there. So
Well, what
yeah,
about like Counter Strike has a radar?
yeah, I don't hate the way they do it. I guess the default radar though in Halo is like it literally like picks them
Yeah,
up
yeah,
from walking, right? It's
yeah,
completely.
yeah.
If you want to do a radar when it like activates when there's like a gunshot or something, completely different as opposed to active
The way,
radar.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But
Like a radar that's actually searching for players for you.
right.
Yeah.
Way different. But I'm super excited for it. Despite me boycotting it for now, but I am super excited just to see the esports side already getting that kind of pick me up, because we've seen
Yeah.
how like that can definitely affect it. You got to think, if you are with your buddies, say in high school, right? And you are trying to say, okay, boys, the holidays are coming up, winter fall break is right around the corner, and say you're in college and fall semester is about to be over and you have a couple months or whatever to chill until spring starts back up again. What are we playing? What are we going to compete in? Let's see, you have Call of Duty, which I mean it's pretty much dead at that point, right?
Yeah.
And then you have Halo, free to play multiplayer, big ass tournaments coming up. Like it can really like do a lot for that scene.
Call of Duty will be what, 3 months into? No, they're releasing in November. Call of Duty will be pretty fresh still.
Okay. But
You'll have
after,
Call of
well,
Duty,
yeah,
you'll
right
have
before this.
Battlefield, and you'll have Halo all within a month and a half time span. So like I think all the
Yeah.
games are going to feel pretty fresh, and I think it's just going to be who has like, and just entertainment wise, where you're going
Right.
to be having the most fun. There's
And
going
that's
to be
what,
different crowds for all of
oh,
them,
right,
but
different
they're
strokes for
all
different
still
folks, but
kind of similar.
I do think there are those people out there. Like I know because I was one of them. It's like you're going to play the game that you feel like you stand the best chance of competing in. And if you've been playing Call of Duty for years, where now you have the league that some people view as restrictive getting into, well, here's Halo, free to play multiplayer, hosting open bracket tournaments again. Like, we don't see that anymore in esports. So if they decide to stick with this style, hell, you're going to get a lot of the orgs that we don't see anymore back in because they can host and still have a chance to play. You're not waiting on like a contenders league or a challengers league. It's like, no, the tournament is the tournament. You get in and you play. So it's very old school vibes. I wonder how Like, is this going to be their model going forward or not? Right? Like, I guess we'll just have
Yeah,
to
like, is
see.
this what you're always going to do? I hope so. I like
Yeah.
it. I do like that old school feel to it. We don't see that enough. We've gone away
Right.
from it, like
And
you
maybe
said,
it's a
every year.
hybrid
But
because they do have those partner teams. So maybe they have some partner team events only where it's like, look, these dudes are bought into it. So we're going to have tournaments just for them for whatever. And then maybe the top teams from these other tournaments can get in, right? Maybe invite only. But I do like if you host maybe like, I don't know, 4, 5 open bracket tournaments a year. I think that's a pretty good pool of events for non-pros to compete in.
I want to do a poll in our Discord and see what people are buying between those 3 games coming up. I'm kind of curious to see what.
Well, Halo is free, so no excuses there.
Yeah, if you
I haven't talked to
games.
one person that's excited for COD. Maybe I've just surrounded myself at this point in my life where people who just don't play COD. I haven't talked to one person that's just like, bro, I am so hyped for this new Call of Duty.
The people that so my friend circle, a lot of them play COD like from work. A lot of my work friends play COD all the time. They're excited for the new map in Warzone. Don't care about the multiplayer coming out.
Yeah, I think that tells you everything you need to know about the COD crowd and where they're at mentally. And they're casually COD, right? They're not even like competitive COD.
Yeah, no, they're all casual. None of them are competitive type. Like they play it to have fun,
right?
Right. Which is fine. And so, but they get that enjoyment out of Warzone, not MP anymore.
Yeah.
So none of them are worry about MP. They just worry about Warzone.
One last Halo topic here that I wanted to touch on, and it's just because I know we've talked about it off mic a few times, and this is the Halo top 25 of all time list. The Halo esports community came out. They did this. It was this was not community ran though. This was like a committee of former pros, member of the media, things like that were involved with this voting. And I will say this, disclaimer. I don't really like all-time lists anyways. I feel like they're made for the purpose of being controversial. Like, look at the LeBron versus Kobe versus Jordan argument, right? You're never going to get people agreeing on that. And it's there for the sole purpose of, we got nothing else to talk about, let's throw this up here. But damn it, Anuj, it worked. Because this list that they made is ridiculous.
I mean, first of all, I want to give, before I get in on the bashing that could potentially happen here, I'm going to do a disclaimer and I'm going to state one thing. In terms of, I'm happy that they made the list. I'm surprised they made the list, because making an all-time list, you don't really see that in esports, and it's mainly because developers don't want to hurt feelings, because it is coming from Halo, even though it's not like the devs that made this list. This is coming from Halo, so like they're using this as their list, right? So if you were to look up Halo rankings, this is what's going to pop up for most people. You don't see it too often, so I am surprised that they actually made an all-time list, maybe versus like the best in each game type thing, or
yeah.
or
Well, that's the other
right?
reason too, right? Is because some of these guys haven't played in other games, or maybe they're late comers or early comers that haven't played new ones, or they retired early. But
the disclaimer is, I didn't watch a ton of Halo esports. I know some of the big names here, and I know some of their accolades just because I follow enough esports to know it, but I didn't really like follow careers when it came to Halo. So my opinion is just based purely on the stats, right? Like what I know their accomplishments are, what they've done, maybe how many titles they played in, but I couldn't tell you I watched even 25% of any of these players, major games or big tournaments or events like that. But yeah, there was like a lot of heat and debate behind their list, Tim.
yeah, and I think a lot of it was almost, to a lot of people's surprise, of maybe disrespecting the early, like the what do you call
legends?
The legends, but what's it called? The trailblazers, right?
Yeah.
Like the guys who kind of started this all, the one where the newcomers model their play after. Little disrespect onto some of it, and I feel like some of it might have been a little short-term memory, right? Maybe it was just you got hyped in the moment, so you're saying that they're like, oh man, this guy was so good. Like, for example, and I'll start with a guy local to us, Shotzi. Shotzi being in the top 15 makes zero sense to me. Albeit, maybe skill-wise he would have been, like raw talent if you're just talking raw talent potential. But, I mean, he played so little in Halo. To put him on an all-times list, I mean, that doesn't make any sense. That would be like if you had, well, like for, why do I always forget his name? Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes in football. Would you put him at the moment all-times list of quarterbacks?
No, you're not making like a top 10 list for sure.
Right.
Top 15
Top
list. Top
15 list of all time? No. And exactly, at the most, like if he
But
decided
you know he will end up on that list
Correct.
when his career is all said and done.
But if he's retired from the game, you don't judge him off of, well, had he kept playing. And I feel like that's what they did with Shotzi, is they're looking at what he did with COD and saying, wow. I also think this is where I think the politics get involved with these lists, is saying, you know what, if we bring up Shotzi in the top 15, it's going to give us so many retweets and likes from the COD community. Let's do that. So I think that was some advertising driven, right?
Maybe more so asking him to come back a little bit. Like, hey, you could climb this list if you came back. Yeah, you could be top 10 next time we do this list. No, yeah, it definitely feels like they favored Halo 5, right? Like in terms of like your Halo 5 accomplishments, almost had like a 5 times value. That's how I looked at it, right? Because there are some names on here, like I know there was so much controversy around number 11, Ogre 1, and for him to be outside of the top 10, I don't think anybody had him sitting there maybe at 1 or 2 on their list, but I think it seemed like everybody agreed. If you look at his accomplishments and what he's done, to have him behind some of these other players, I think Frosty was kind of the biggest one.
I was about to say, that's my biggest issue, is if you would have put Ogre 1 at 10, I don't think you would have had a lot of hate for it. But the fact that you put Frosty in over him, it was like, are we talking about the same all-time roster here? Like, what is going on? And I'm trying not to fall into the trap of just getting angry at this stuff, because I know that's what they did it for. But to see Ogre 1 out of the top 10, to see T Squared out of the top 15, he was 17 overall. Like, bro, show some respect for your elders here. Like, T Squared, first off, Halo, in my eyes, Halo legend, put Halo on the map in a lot of terms, as far as just, he did the MTV real life, I'm a pro gamer, all that. He kind of was the first player that I remember like signing a deal. I think it was with what's the audio company, Plantonic?
Oh, Plantronics.
Plantronics, the headphone company.
Yeah.
He had a deal with them, and I remember thinking back in high school, like, fuck, that is
like this dude made it
right. Like, this guy is getting free headphones. Like, just retire now, because you just made it in life. So I have to, and that's just accomplishment wise, right? The list is bonkers. Some of it is, like I said, is clearly meant to do just this, is to call it out, call attention, retweet, things like that. But some of it, I just think, and even you had like other Halo pros thinking like, well, which is very shitty when, like, say like you were someone, like, I think the Lunchbox or the Frosty one at number 10 was a lot where people like retweeted like, what? Like, no disrespect to Frosty here, but like,
Frosty thought he should have been number 4.
That's not surprising. I would believe you if you were telling the truth. But so, like I said, I did see a friend of the show though, Pistola. Go check out his interview if you haven't. It's on our YouTube. Number 4 all time. That feels maybe a little right. Maybe could have gone higher, but I don't think anyone's gonna bitch about being number 4. So
top 3, are you good with?
Yeah. Like I said, I think because I think when you get that high up there, it's like you can make nitpick arguments for each one, right? Like nothing was like blaring to be like, whoa. Like I said, I think it was the lower end where you're like T squared 17, Fear itself 23. To me, these are ones. Where was I'm trying to see, where was Karma? 19 is where they put Karma. I felt like that might have been a little low, but I also loved him, so that might just be favoritism. I don't know, but it's whatever. At the end of the day, it's a dumb ranking list that was here just to get us to talk about it. So that's how that's how I feel about it. It would be like arguing an award show results at the end of the day. Doesn't really matter, especially with the new one coming out, because we're about to see. Again, I think the most atrocious one was Shotzi being on there, but I think that was for the sole purpose of it getting the attention from the COD fanboys. So there's that. All right, enough Halo talk, because again, the game's dead to me. CSGO, we have a bit of a grab bag discussion here, Nuge, so I'll let you take it away, because I know we've had some tournaments wrap up. We got teams in the majors that are locked in, some upsets. We have the talent announcement, so I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, so I'm just going to mention off some of the teams that have already qualified, because we did have the CIS region wrap up. So you had Navi coming in as the number 1 seed from that region. You had Gambit coming in at number 2, which those were the two kind of obvious ones that everybody was anticipating making it through. It was that third spot that a handful of teams were in the mix for. I'm happy to say that VP ended up taking that third spot, so they will be in the major. Yakinder and crew are I mean, I'm sure these guys are just stoked. They're a young group. We've talked highly of them, so for them to make it and take that third spot, I think was really big, and also just good for the event. We talk about VP as like a staple brand, so having them back in play, awesome. So had those 3 teams from CIS make it through.
And good on VP. Like, I'll give shout outs to VP, like the ownership, in the sense of that's an org that never gave up. Like, they had every excuse in the book after the Polish squad didn't work out, or not work out. They worked out after they fizzled out, to just be like, okay, we're done here. We're moving on.
We're not going to try and build this back up. And they also have, like I said, they have an academy roster too. So it's like these guys are really putting everything into it. And you know what? They are a Counter-Strike org through and through. So glad that they found a way to make it work. And then the other big region that I want to just kind of mention some of the teams that came in. We did have a handful of teams from EU qualify. We have Vitality, G2, Heroic, NIP, and Astralis make it back through into the major. And the reason none of these teams were guaranteed these spots, so they all had to come back through and earn it. And there's teams like Complexity out there that did not qualify. Complexity, I believe, is officially out of the major at this point. Dignitas officially out of the major at this point. There's a handful of teams that are
out.
Fnatic out of the major at this point, which that is like, I mean, you talk about devastating. Fnatic's been in every major that I could even remember in CSGO's history. I don't think they've ever missed a major.
I want to say I think we talked about this last major. I think the last major might have been their first one they missed, or that might be another team that I'm confusing them with. I'm pulling it up though. You can continue.
It was the first time they didn't make a legend spot, I believe. That's why they had to go in through like the
Legends across. Yeah, they're not just showing qualified teams participant. No, yeah. So the last one, Star Ladder Berlin Major, they did not qualify either. So the last major was their first. So, but again though, first back to back, they've made 14 majors, most ever in all of CS teams, ahead of NIP at 12. So
now NIP at 13.
Correction. This list is so weird on how they just organized it. Forget everything I said. They're second most. Navi is at 16. So there you go.
So it's still staple team, not there. Fun plus Phoenix, Complexity, these guys have all been eliminated at this point. I have to go and check if Mouse is going to be officially
They have to. Their result, I think, depends on another team. I forget
Yeah, like
who,
because they
but
placed, they already are out of the event. Um,
yeah, they have
and
to go in as like a challenger or contender at this point.
yeah, they're not going to get like the legend spot, and they were in great contention heading into this event for a legend spot. And unfortunately have kind of blown that opportunity. So we have NA
Complexity.
kicking off here and
I want to say
tomorrow.
one thing though with complexity. I feel like and now they're a little different because they've made so many roster moves too, so I think that also hurt their points to begin with. If you're complexity, what is going through your head right now? Because the roster moves that you have made have not worked out. You've lost Rush. You've lost OBO, right? Where for a hot minute there, OBO was supposed to be like the next NA savior, right? He decided he didn't want to do the EU thing, so he left. Rush moved over to Valorant, but just don't tell him yet. But he moved over to Valorant.
Yeah, scrimming with TSM. So.
Right, still testing it out though. Still testing it out. Doesn't know if he wants to make the switch. Now they have Cold Zera, which I think maybe 2 years ago, maybe even a year ago, like if you told me your team had Cold Zera on and you failed to make the major, like I wouldn't have believed you. I would put if you just said, "Hey, what do you think about Cold Zera making the major?" I would have bet everything on it because he was just that type of player to where it didn't matter what roster he was on, he was going to make a difference. He has not made a difference on complexity.
No, I mean I feel bad for Jason Lake honestly at this point, because you talk about somebody that has tried to put everything they can into making a legit Counter-Strike team. They finally started to find their way, as you mentioned, then they kind of fell off, and a little bit with the OBO leaving and finding that transition period. Now you're also down Config, who is rumored to also like be on his way out. You've put in the money. Look at the roster, Tim. JKS, S Tag, Colzera, Poison, Blame F. All of these are names, like names that people know. If you follow Counter Strike at all, you know who these players are. And they're not like they found a bunch of people outside of their prime. I would say JKS, I thought, was kind of still in his prime right now. S Tag was getting into his prime. Blame F, kind like still in his prime. Colzier is really the only one that you would say is out of his prime, but he's still good enough to like be on a major team, right? Maybe not a
Right.
major winning team, but definitely a major team. And so I don't know where they go from here, what the plan is exactly. They are sitting at 16 right now in the rankings. They've not looked great, in Config's situation up in the air. I just don't know what this team does next, or if they just try to run it back and assume time will fix this.
Time will heal all wounds. Or they just move the roster to NA and just run the table because that roster would be might be undefeated if it went to the NA side of things. So
It'd be an amazing roster in today, yeah.
this would be a Strawless 2.0 on NA. I also, and then you can continue because I know you're moving on to the NA side. How many people do you think broke their keyboards when Astralis still found a way to qualify for a legend spot?
Like I catch myself rooting for them right now because they're not the ones that they didn't want Device to leave. Like that wasn't them pushing him out of the door. And then, when you have a team that's that good, I want their fall off to be because they got beat, and not because the players all went to different teams and broke up that way. So I'm excited that they're in the major and that they have another chance at it. And like I will actually, depending on who they're playing, catch myself rooting for them now, because it's like you lost your star player. LeBron left the Cavs, and guess what happened to the Cavs? They were had the number one pick in the lottery the next year. Like they went from best to worst overnight. And I think a lot of people believed that could put, not best to worst necessarily, but there would be a huge fall off without
Oh
Device.
yeah.
Well, look, both those teams are in. Nip is in. Astralis is in. Astralis has a chance to do what they're known to do. And Like it's still a roster that's deadly when it comes to playing in a major. It's still a roster that knows how to compete in the biggest moments. So I'm going to catch myself rooting for them. I'm sure a lot of people were not rooting for them, but I've kind of flipped the switch since device left.
All right, and then you were moving on to NA, I believe.
Yeah, NA, it's there, it's happening. You know, no, there are a couple of teams that I'm extra salt is on the outside looking in right now. They have to perform well here in this event to make it through and at least take a contender or challenger spot. Ideally, they're one place out of a contender spot, two spots back of a challenger spot.
Because
Bad news.
their next and last event is IEM Fall, which is tomorrow. Starts tomorrow.
Yeah, starts tomorrow for these guys. So this is the final RMR event for them to make it through. So you have extra salt, bad news bears, you know, Triumph. These guys are all gonna, be fighting for some of these last slots there. You feel pretty comfortable in saying like, hey, Liquid, Evil Geniuses, these guys are gonna be okay and do well in this event. I think it's important that they like do well in this event
Yeah.
and not, even though they don't need to, it's just come on, like we're getting into the major. You guys need to like be in form a little bit here, and I don't think we've really seen that too much from NA really over the past year. Like just consistency. It's been somebody else stepping up at a different time.
Yeah. No, that's been NA's MO since COVID, right? Over the last 2 years. It's just you have not had any swagger. NACS has zero swagger about it right now. Like, even if Liquid or EG win or, like, perform well, it's like, okay, well, you guys should be performing well. Can we still talk about the tournament where you got bounced, like, against, Bad News Bears? Like, can we bring that up? Or it's like, it's just, I don't know. NACS. I was talking to Brett, former host of the show, rest in peace. And he was asking, so, like, what's been going on with CS during COVID? Like, how's NACS doing? And I was like, oh, buddy, there's so
Non-existent.
much. Yeah, it's like so much and so little to say all at the same time. Like, it's just not there. Like, you don't have to worry about it. It's just, it's a disaster. But so there you have it. So RMR events coming up. A lot of teams getting locked in. Some teams are done, and they're just waiting to see if other teams are losing. So we have that drama in hand where it's just out of their control as far as qualifying for events. Because I think with EU, where it just kind of depends on where some of these teams are qualifying now. Like for Mouse Sports, I think a lot of teams, it just depends on how far they get ahead in this tournament and how many points they get if it knocks Mouse Sports out. So
It's crazy. Like Mouse Sports might not make it, but yeah, here we are fighting for Team One, Godsent, ATK, and Bad News Bears to take a spot there. Like,
right. You think EU's complaining about how many roster spots they're getting for the major? Probably.
I mean, granted, they're getting a lot. It's just they need more. They need.
This would be the one time I would not argue against it. I'd be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe just let them all do it. Maybe this just be an EU CIS major. I think I'd be okay with it. You could probably convince me that warrants.
Yeah, it's kind of what it is.
Maybe get fear in there.
Did you see in just quick little mention here for group play for the EU side? Want to throw out a couple of surprises here for them because I think a lot of people will be shocked to see this. Copenhagen Flames went 5-0 in their group play to give themselves a chance at getting into this major. This is a group with G2, Big, Mouse Sports, and Fun Plus Phoenix in it. Okay? That's 5 out of the 6 teams in that bracket. ENCE went 4-1 in a group with Vitality, OG, Mad Lions, Sprout, a couple of other, good teams in that sense. Heroic went 3-2 in their bracket. A little rough in complexity. The team that we're talking about getting knocked out, they finished 1-4, almost as bad as Fnatic's 0-5 in their group play. So, we talk about some of these teams not making it. They had a chance. Okay, they had to be average to make it through. And unfortunately for Complexity and Fnatic, they weren't even that when it counted, when it mattered most. So we talk about wanting to be hot coming in. I mean, these guys were as ice cold as you could be in the most important tournament of the year so far.
All right, so there is some of the team previews, at least, and obviously we're going to do a whole major preview episode when it gets set up. But they did announce the talent earlier today for the upcoming PGL major. Anuj, thoughts?
Yeah. Overall, the talent is like obviously good. I'm not complaining about the talent that they selected because they're good. We know
Right.
they're good.
All of them. So this is kind of how I feel is all the talent that's there, and I will say this. As I've gotten older in life, I really don't care about the talent at all because unless it's Big Bird and Elmo doing it, I'm probably going to have to watch this on my phone on mute because my kid won't let me watch it. So, not going to hear any of the play-by-play anyways. And also, I just, there is so much.
I care just because I want the people that I felt should have been recognized.
Yes, of
to
course,
be
because we have friends in it and stuff. But I will say this too for people who aren't aware of how this works. And Anuj and I know a little bit on this one. The amount of politics and like friendshipism that goes on when like getting hired for talent and things like that in esports rivals like a high school girl clique friend group. Like it's somewhat ridiculous at times when you hear like all the things behind the scenes of like, well, this person got hired, so then this person didn't want to do it, or this person wouldn't do it if this person got hired, and it's just, well, this person works for ESL, and then ESL doesn't like this person, so this org didn't hire that guy. Like it takes it to another level when you hear some of the stuff behind the scenes. So that's why when you think of sometimes you're like, why wasn't this person involved? There's typically a reason.
No, yeah, I mean, like, I'll tell you where I'm disappointed. Okay, I'm gonna just give you my low lights because overall, I think I have a lot of good things, to say about some of the people that are there. But I'm disappointed that Launders and Scrawny don't have a spot at this event, and Harry. And I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank on his partner's name at the moment, but I felt like that foursome right there has kind of like done so much for Counter-Strike during COVID outside of Sponge and Machine, right? Because they've been a staple for what they've been doing at ESL. But like those guys have like gone to all these other events to fill in voids of when Moses stepped away and Henry stepped away, and these guys had to like kind of take over and do their thing throughout the year until Moses eventually came back and whatnot. I just feel like they really got shafted by not being invited to the major. Launders and Scrawny especially, because Launders is out there like making content for Counter-Strike, tweets about Counter-Strike 24/7, has hubs for games with, just casual fans, within Counter-Strike. And then on top of that, he kind of had to take over the lead role in everybody else's absence during COVID. So I really believe he got shafted. I think where I also feel like they could have made that switch is like not to say that DDK and James Bardoff are not an amazing duo because they are, but like DDK like left to go do Valorant. Like he's not even been doing. He's probably done more of that. What's that Eminem shooter game?
Diabolical
Than he has CS over the past year. So like I love their duo, but I just felt like there was people that have worked and worked and worked in this scene all year deserve that. And Sadakist is another. I'm going to say the same thing about him. I think Sadakist is an incredible caster. I really do believe he is like one of the best when he was doing it with Henry G. But he's also been on the sidelines. So like these guys just got the big bring them back for like an ESL big event, or something if you want to
right.
reintroduce them.
It's weird that we've seen Sadakist very, very little in CS over the last 2-3 years.
We haven't seen him in the last 2 years in Counter-Strike.
And now all of a sudden it's at the major. It's kind of like you said, there comes a certain time where it's like, well, other people are putting in the effort, putting in the work. I would like to see a little bit more reward being given. Again, I understand that, you're going to get big names.
It's not a bad thing.
It's not that Sadakis doesn't deserve it. It's just other people I felt like it would have made more sense at this point in time to put on the roster.
For this particular event. Sadakis could have come back for any other event and it wouldn't have been a big deal, and it still would have been exciting to have him back and reintroduce him if that's what he wants to do. It's just and then the other questionable one I have, and really it's probably the only other questionable one I have, is Thorin being an analyst on the desk. Thorin obviously knows everything there is to know about Counter-Strike and feels like he's always right when it comes to what he knows about Counter-Strike, but he is so negative towards the community. He's negative towards the game. He's just negative, and he hasn't done anything to help promote Counter-Strike outside of getting retweets on shit, that's kind of nonsense stuff.
Right.
I just don't feel like he's become this negative Nancy hater versus this analyst that I want to see breaking down the games. I feel like he's going to be there just for like one-liners and jabs, and he hasn't been on a desk in a long time, so this is going to be his time to take shots at people and this is just not the time for that. This is, should be 100% about the game. Now, he might prove me wrong and do it otherwise.
Probably not.
But again, that's just not, and I just don't feel like that's in his DNA. Richard Lewis as the host, I think, is really good.
I was about to say because I agree with everything you said, and for me, the one thing that I love seeing is Richard back as a host. I think Richard Lewis, bar none, is one of the best hosts in all of esports, and I think he can do any esports. When he worked with E-League and he jumped around from Counter-Strike to, I think he did a little bit of Rocket League even, but like the Street Fighter, and I always will bring up that the FGC community just was completely wrong and dumb with how they treated him, and that's half the reason I think he left E-League was just he was like, I'm just causing more drama and not feeling appreciated. I think he is so good at hosting and doing what he does. And it's like you said, do I agree with how he presents himself all the time on Twitter? Absolutely not, but I think he's amazing at what he does, so I'm super glad he's back.
Like, I think Thorin could do really well. It's just which side of him is going to come out.
Right.
It's
a wild card. Thorin's the wild card.
And all the shit talking and all, I want it to be about the game. And
I will say, because someone put it in our Discord about how he did a video on how he blocks people for reasons, and he was making fun of people. Both Anuj and I are blocked by Thorin. I wasn't following him, nor have I ever tweeted at him. The only thing I could think is I tweeted something about Flashpoint at one point in time, and so he probably saw that and blocked me. That would be the only reason.
And that could be it, or he could listen to the show, as I'm sure he does.
That's true too.
But
and one other thing too.
That's not even. I haven't even been following him because I've been blocked. I just know who he is.
Right. So let me tell you what, because he hasn't blocked the show yet. He hasn't blocked at the center ring, so we could still see his tweets there. Hasn't gotten any better on Twitter. Still tweets out the most ridiculous things you will ever. Half the time I read them and I send them to you just being like, what am I reading here? What is going on in this tweet? I will say one thing, though, about Richard Lewis. If he is going to do the desk, I need shaved head Richard Lewis, because Richard Lewis with hair makes me very uncomfortable. Like, I don't know if you watch his stream. He has grown his hair out, and it's uncomfortable. I like my Richard Lewis bald.
Does he get like a full head of hair?
Yeah. I mean, nothing compared to me. But look at my hair.
You got lots.
I have glorious hair. It's there. Like, you can definitely see it. So it's just makes me uncomfortable is all. I like my Richard Lewis bald. That's it. So anyways, at the end of the day, it's talent. They don't make the event, though. So either way, it will be fun. It will be good. Positive vibes only. All right, so there you have it there. Some Counter-Strike talk. Is that all you had for Counter-Strike?
Did you notice Prius is not an observer? Thought that was weird.
A lot of the people aren't. I think they're just stuck with like Valorant and things like that, or like Pimp. I know someone said Pimp's not there, but Pimp signed a deal with Danish TV, I think, to talk about the major. So I mean, they, like I said, there's other reasons why, you know, you'd almost wish some of these people that weren't on the list like at least come out and say like if Launders was like, yo, they did approach me, but I'm busy, unfortunately I have other things or whatever. And then
what
you'd
is
be like,
Launders doing during the major? You can be watching if you're not
like traveling though. Maybe he's somewhere else, you know, and travel. I don't know. The world's
sitting on a beach.
He's a worldly man. He travels. So I don't know. I just like Sadakist. I want to know how far Sadakist was down on their list to get to.
I bet like these were like just big names that don't look bad to have
like,
on your talent list.
6 years ago, I would have expected to see this list. 6 years ago, this is a list I'd expect to see.
I'm surprised Henry G's not on there.
Not now. He's too busy trying to scam people with his mushroom NFT on Twitter. All right, so let's get into some e-news. In CSGO, Team Spirit is accusing Forza of roster poaching. We'll see where that comes from, but they just tweeted a shout out at them. In Overwatch, per sources, Anuj, Vancouver, tell me if you've heard this one before. Vancouver Titans are rumored to be dropping their entire roster and do a full-on rebuild.
Is this the third time now?
I think so.
The game's only been around like what? 3
It's
years
like
for
every
Pro League,
season
right?
I think I hear Vancouver Titans is doing a complete rebuild. So there's that. Dallas Fuel part ways with I don't know how to say any of these names. Jexy, Pine. I know how to say Pine confidently. Pine never played a game with them. So all that hype we even talked about on the show. Pine. The curse of being a hit scan player in Overwatch, where you're always one patch note away from losing your job, and he also had the deadly bug of visa issues all the time. So maybe just switch over to Valorant at this point. Join a Korean team, play Valorant. That would be my career advice for Pine, because this has happened multiple times now. In fact,
probably a smart move anyway.
If you're just a hit scan player in Overwatch, uninstall the game and go play Valorant. Like that is your choice at this point in time.
You'll probably be able to join FaZe in a few weeks here.
Yeah, because you are one patch away from being irrelevant all the time. And every time they give the hit scans back in there, it's like they tease them for like one cycle and then they nerf them right back out. Speaking of Valorant, Kenny S and MBK will be playing with Team France at the Blast Spike Nations event.
It's pretty cool.
What NBK, what team was he trialing with or playing with? Do you recall?
Couldn't tell you right now.
He like made a team, I think, for an event or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah, team.
The brackets have been released for the upcoming NA last chance qualifiers to get into to Masters. A lot of teams, a lot of players are not happy about it. They've outspoken. It's like this weird hybrid bracket of it starts out as a single elimination, and then as it gets into quarters, I believe, it will then twist into a double elimination.
That's what I was just looking at. I thought they changed that format now or something.
Have they already changed it? I tried looking for it and I couldn't find it.
That's what I thought I saw in
so
VLR,
we'll let you know here in a second if I'm wrong. My point to this, though, is to any of the NA players and orgs, I understand from a logistic point why you don't want to do it, right? But at the same time, like if you're 100 Thieves and you're sitting here selling hoodies for like $200 and like fucking wearing Gucci and signing Gucci deals, I don't feel bad that you have to fly your players out to an event to possibly play one game. So you lost my sympathy on that one. And if you're a player, you also lost my sympathy, because I'm going to play devil's advocate here. This is a last chance qualifier. You have had plenty of times. This is not a single elimination qualifier. You've already been eliminated 2 or 3 times at events that could have gotten you qualified to skip this event. So don't act like this was your one shot to get in. This was your last shot to get in. So let's pump the brakes on this, like, woe is me. Like, I understand it sucks. And if I was a player, I'd be like, yo, I got to travel and do all this for one possible game and being eliminated? That sucks. I get it. But at the same time, let's not try to ignore the fact that you've had chances.
This is so confusing to look at, Tim. It says the event will play in a 10-team double elimination bracket with 2 play-in matches played in the upper round 1, which then seed into higher seed upper quarterfinals matches.
Okay. So I need a listener to figure out what that means and then let me know.
I think XSET and 100 Thieves are on the same side of the bracket, if I'm not mistaken, which is a little unfortunate, as well as Cloud9 and
again, it's unfortunate, but I also have a hard time finding a lot of sympathy when it's like you've had plenty of chances up to this point to perform.
Yeah.
Like this is a last chance qualifier. So I feel bad.
I just want them to choose an easy format.
Just let me understand
that I can
the
understand.
format.
I feel bad for us.
It could all be single elimination. Just let me understand it. In COD, we have a legend retiring. Apathy announces his retirement recently in Call of Duty, this might be half the reason why he's retiring, because in the Call of Duty League, he was on Seattle Surge last year and LA Gorillas this year, so unfortunate.
I didn't hear much about him.
Unfortunate. But he is a 2-time champ winner, winning back in 2016 with Envy and 2018 for the incredible Evil Geniuses run. So,
dude, and he's like, one of 9 players with 2 championships, and he is one of 2 players that played in 3 consecutive, because he also played in 2017 where they lost. And it's him and JCap, I think are the only 2 that have done that. So incredible career. Dude's a Hall of Famer when it comes to Call of Duty. Hope he kills it in the content game. And if you want to support him, you can go check it out. He's going to be, creating YouTube content and streaming and all that. So give him a shout if you enjoyed his career.
In FGC news, Hungrybox announced that he was streaming and he's also played. So he's being included by the developers for the Nickelodeon. What's it called? Nickelodeon's All-Star Smash?
All-Star Brawl?
All-Star Brawl, maybe? The Nickelodeon Smash game, which is what everyone's going to call it anyways. Nickelodeon Smash. So, hey, look, I know a lot of people are making this game into a joke when it first came out. Hungrybox says it's felt better than anything he's played recently. I saw Leffen play. He was streaming the other day and it looked very smooth. Hitboxes and some attacks seemed a little wonky, but for the most part, smooth. The fact that the developers are including top Smash pros, if you're like a diehard Smash fan, I would strongly look at yourself in the mirror and say, at what point are you willing to change? Because I don't think this, like everyone thought this was just going to be a throwaway Nickelodeon game, and I don't think it's a throwaway Nickelodeon game.
Like, I'm kind of curious how they're going to handle the esports side of it, or somebody running that for them, because like it's not an area that they've been involved in. So
yeah,
kind of curious to just see how they handle early success. Should they see that?
Yeah, because they're coming in swinging. They're coming in swinging. Nintendo announced that their side of esports, Nintendo Versus US, they will hold a Smash tournament coming up sometime in the fall of this year. Main takeaway on this is the first thing I looked at was, will there be items? I'm happy to say maybe Nintendo is listening just a little bit, even though it's still going to be on their shitty servers. There will not be items. So
they're canceling everybody else's events, so hopefully they are listening a little bit.
So
right?
Maybe they're just doing their own thing. But hey, the last I heard of them hosting a Smash event, they had items on. So progress. In other news, Twitch signed with Warner Music, becoming the first major label music. So hopefully we can start playing some actual music on stream sometime soon. We'll see how that works with partnership and deals, but still huge for Twitch to kind of come up on that note.
Had to do something. It looks like all those strikes and all that crap worked because it forced their hand into.
Did they work, or were they working on it the whole time and people put a strike on thinking it worked? I always wonder that.
Yeah, that's true.
I always wonder. Like, I don't think Twitch was just like, oh man, did you guys know people couldn't play music on streams? Like, maybe we should talk about this. Destruction All Stars developers reportedly making a new Twisted Metal game.
That would be awesome.
I'm in. There was a time, kids, for anyone I would say below the age of like 28. There was a time where destructive car games were very big. Like I forget all their names, but there was a time where it was like Twisted Metal and like 10 other copycat games.
Zero something.
There was
and
one where it was like cartoon cell shaded game. It was awesome. You could play like this dude that shot like a harpoon out and it would like one shot people.
There was like the South Park game, if you remember that when
Yep.
that came out. I mean, there was a
Car
lot.
battle games were huge for a little bit there.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened to them. So hopefully it would be cool to see a Twisted Metal. And Team Liquid have announced that they have a new deal with Marvel, as they've had in recent past. But they've announced that they're coming out with a new lineup highlighting the Spider-Man Japan show from the 70s. Also on Disney Plus, there's a Marvel documentary series did an episode on Spider-Man Japan. So if you care,
nice.
check it out. I might get that yellow one. Might get the yellow one. I don't know. The older I get, $35 for a t-shirt seems like a lot of money, considering I just wear like white t-shirts every day anyway. So
considering my kid's gonna stretch it out by pulling on me.
Right, like a $35. That's a $35 burp rag. So he's gonna stretch out the neck hole. He's gonna wipe his snot on it, and at the end of the day, I'm gonna look myself in the mirror and being like, where did all this like pizza sauce come from? Like, what? We didn't even have tomato sauce today. How did he get tomato sauce on my shirt?
How did this just happen?
like what is going on? Nothing is better than you get home from shopping and holding your kid and you look in the mirror and you just realize that you have like dried snot all over your shoulder and you're like, I just walked around the store with this, and people probably just think I'm like the trashiest person in the world.
Like,
but
this guy doesn't even know what's going on in his life right now.
No, and you know what? They're not far off. They're not far off. All right. Well, there you have it. There are some e-news for you. There you have it.
Beautiful.
Everyone, thank you for listening. Canada in chat earlier saying Jason Lake called in Peacemaker to fix things. He might.
Peacemaker's there right now. He's there.
Yeah, I know.
Right now.
That's what I'm saying.
You think he will fix things?
He might. He has a tendency to at least boost things a little bit. Then something happens and he pieces out. So, who knows? All right, so there you have it. There's the show, everyone. Thank you for listening. We will be back next week for another esports extravaganza. If you're playing New World, hit us up. If you haven't gotten onto a server or if you're going to buy it, let us know. We'll let you know the server and faction information because it is somewhat important. Follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring. Join our Discord. Anything else you need to do, do it. Watch some esports. That's all I got. For Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see you next time. Love you. Bye. What was that?
What's the date for the major?
The date for the major. That is a good question.
Look it up. Close out my browser.
I have a calendar that I have now, and I need to just look up these important dates for upcoming events and put them on there just so I know. October 26th through the 7th.
Okay, yeah.
I would be in California for a good amount of that. All right. People in chat, love you. Thanks for stopping by. We're going to kill the stream so I can edit this real quick. Maybe hop in the queue for New World. Are you going to be on it all?
Let me see what Kelly's doing.
All right. Yeah, same. We don't control our lives, so. If anything,
she's working tomorrow, so she'll probably be asleep here pretty soon.
If anything, you should just text Morgan and I should text Kelly. Be like, what are you doing tonight? And if they say nothing, then I'm like, okay, thanks.
All right, cool. That's all I need to know.
That's how half the time I ask Morgan. I'm like, hey, babe, what are you doing tonight? What do you have any plans? And she's like, just go play with Anuj. I'm like, thanks, Mom.
That's exactly what happens.
Thanks,
that's
Mom.
exactly what happens over here.
Thanks.
It's no different. You got any plans tonight? So I know you want to play. You want to play your games with your friends.
It's like, look, at least I'm asking, okay?
Yeah.
I'm okay doing things with you. It's just if we're not doing anything, then I'm down.
She's like, "Do you want to do something?" I'm like, "Well, what do you want to do?"
All right, let me post this up and I'll just be back. Just let me know. Hit me up in chat or
Okay.
something.
All right.